Today we're taking a deep dive into the intricate world of jazz harmony. Okay, so it starts out with C major, F major, A minor, G major.
Okay, yeah.
Those are like the four chords.
Yeah, so like a very classic kind of progression.
Oh yeah, you hear that everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
All over pop music.
Yeah.
So where did the jazz come in? What's the special sauce here?
Well, like we were saying, it's those subtle details that make all the difference.
Okay.
And so even just slight alterations to those chords, like adding, a ninth to a chord or changing the bass note
Okay.
can have a really big impact on the overall sound and the feel.
Okay.
And then also the way those chords are connected together, which is called voice leading.
Oh yeah.
It's really, really important in jazz harmony.
So I see they have like a more detailed version of this progression, and I'm just going to read that. C major add 9, G over B, B flat minor major 7, B flat minor major 7 add 9, F major, A minor 7, A minor 9, E major add 9 over G sharp, and then G major.
Wow.
That's a lot,
It is.
just even to say.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. So just to start with, can you just explain, like, how are some of those chords different?
Sure.
Like that G over B, what does that even mean?
Basically what it means is that you're playing a G major chord,
Uh-huh.
but the bass note is a B.
Oh,
So instead of having the root of the chord, which would be G in the bass,
right.
you have the third of the chord, which is B.
I see.
And that creates a different kind of bass movement than
Oh.
you would get if you just played a regular G major chord.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Bass movement.
Yeah.
That's a good term.
Yeah, it's all about how that bass line is moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's this E major add 9 over G sharp.
Yeah, that's a really cool chord.
Yeah.
So that one is actually borrowing from the half-whole diminished scale,
Okay.
which is a scale that has this kind of unique sort of dissonant flavor to it. And the G sharp in the bass, again, that's a slash chord, so the G sharp is in the bass, really enhances that sort of like intriguing, unresolved quality of that chord.
I see.
Yeah.
And so all this stuff is built on, like, we started out with a C major, F major, A minor, G major.
Right.
But there's all these little...
Yeah, like little additions.
Yeah, and those little additions, they really change how the music sounds.
They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you think about like a painting.
Okay.
And you have your primary colors.
Yeah.
But then you can mix those colors together to create all sorts of different shades and hues.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening here with these chords. It's like you have your sort of like basic chords, your primary colors,
Yeah.
but then by adding these little alterations and extensions, you're creating all these different colors and flavors.
And that's how you get that jazz sound, it sounds like.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how would somebody use this? Like, let's say I'm a musician and I want to play this on my guitar or my piano.
Sure.
How do I actually like use these concepts?
Yeah. So that's where understanding chord scale relationships comes in.
Okay.
And so each chord in this progression has a corresponding scale that goes with it.
Okay.
That basically outlines all the available notes that you can play. Over that chord, that will sound good.
Oh, okay.
And so, for example, like over that B flat minor major 7 chord, you could play a B flat melodic minor scale, and that scale will give you all the notes that you need to improvise over that chord.
I see.
And so there's a whole system of chord scale relationships that jazz musicians use to understand harmony and improvisation.
Okay.
And it's really the key to being able to navigate these complex progressions and create interesting melodies.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the source that we got this from, they actually provided a list of scales for each of these chords.
Oh, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the B flat melodic minor that you were just talking about.
Yes.
They suggested that for that chord.
With that chord.
So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So if you have those scales in front of you, then it makes it a lot easier to start experimenting,
Right.
improvising over this progression.
I mean, I'm just like looking at this list.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many different scales there are. And it's really eye-opening to see how each chord can have its own specific scale that goes with it.
And that's what gives jazz harmony so much of its depth and richness,
Right.
is that you have all these different scales that you can draw from. And it's not just like one scale fits all,
Right. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to explore.
It is.
Yeah.
So for our listener who sent this in, I hope they're listening right now.
Me too.
And I hope you're finding this as fascinating as I am.
Me too.
This is really cool.
It is, yeah.
And I think the takeaway is
Yeah.
that, like, You know, it's not just random.
Right.
There's a system to it.
Yeah, there's definitely a system to it.
And if you learn the system,
yeah,
then you can really
unlock.
You can unlock the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It is.
I think we should do more of these deep dives into jazz harmony.
I agree.
I'm really getting into it now.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world.
It is. It is. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.